Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this event, Product Tank Sofia. My name is Dian Mihailov Dido, and I will be your host tonight. And we have a very exciting guest that we've invited with a lot of interesting things to share. So please do stay and ask your questions in the YouTube chat. We will make sure to address them. So I will now start with a brief presentation of Product Tank Sofia, as we always do. Basically, we are the biggest product management community in Bulgaria. And what are the product tanks? By the way, the product tanks started in 2010 in London as informal gatherings of people that were interested in how digital products are made, pretty much. And about 10 years later, or about 15 years later, we're now in over 250 cities. The community is massive, more than 150,000 members. And pretty much, we are very, very happy that we have a product tank in Sofia as well, which started in 2015. And of course, big gratitude to the organizers in Sofia, my co-organizers, Maria and Boris. The three of us, we are the local representatives of the community, and we organize the events, and we pretty much run the community here. Please make sure if you have any ideas or suggestions for events or any kind of activities that could bring value to you or to the entire community, contact us, talk to us about it, and we can make it happen. The events, a little bit about them. Pretty much, we've had guests from a lot of different companies, some of them LinkedIn, PaySafe, Leanplum, Financial Times. We've talked about a lot of different topics that are very relevant in the life of a product manager, but not only. I mean, sometimes the topics are relevant to entrepreneurs, to marketing and salespeople. So we are happy to actually bring a lot of interesting topics to a diverse community. And speaking about the community, pretty much we have our Facebook group in Bulgaria with more than 1,700 members. We have a LinkedIn group as well. It is young, but you can also find it and make sure you follow what's happening there. We try to have monthly meetups. Right now, they're online due to the situation at the moment, but usually we have actual events, like actual physical events as well. And then part of the other things that you can benefit from in this community are this vlog that we have with more than 1,000 videos. That's a global website. I'll say a little bit more about it in a second. We have community organized trainings as well, different types of workshops that you can find on the website. And of course, we have the annual conferences. At the moment, they're online. You can actually join them online and listen to speakers like Marty Kagan, like Nir Eyal, and so on. Speaking of our global online resources, please do check mindtheproduct.com. It's where everything that I mentioned is listed. So great content, videos, articles, also a lot of info about the conferences, a lot of info about different trainings you can join. A lot of them are, by the way, online right now. So plenty of opportunity to be there. Also some jobs postings, and do create a profile as well so that you can also benefit from our, I would say, um, uh, closed community that is open only when you have a profile. And then, as I mentioned, our Facebook page, you can search on, sorry, our Facebook group, you can search on ProductTank Sofia community and feel free to join. It is tailored at what happens here in Bulgaria. You can find plenty of job ads there, posts on different topics, and we also post there the results of our annual survey that we hold every year. It covers topics such as product manager salary here in Bulgaria, what are the kind of the great opportunities to develop yourself as a product manager, or just things like how to become a product manager. A lot of good insights. By the way, the results from the editions for the past I think 3 years are in the file section of the group, so do feel welcome to check them. All right. Um, and now we have our guest tonight, Henry, whom I will add to the stream. Hi, Henry.
Hi, Dean. How's it going?
Good to have you here. Henry is a product consultant. He's founder of Prod MBA and also has an extremely interesting book called Product Leadership Starts With You. And we will share his insights tonight on product and product strategy and how to validate your strategy without building a thing. So I give the floor to you, Henry, and sorry, and you're welcome to take it from here.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the intro, Dido. So today we're going to talk about the minimal viable offer, and specifically how do we actually define and validate a product strategy without needing to build something. Why do products fail? 10 years ago, I founded my first startup, Backtracker, a travel app for backpackers to sort of plot their journey as they traveled and share that journey with friends and family, all whilst at university with absolutely zero business experience. We even went through an accelerator program with some amazing mentors and raised investment. But we made every single mistake possible. I made every single mistake possible. And despite a lot of learning, 2 years later, that startup failed. And since that moment, 8 years ago, I've personally been driven by a burning question. Why do some products fail and others succeed? And question back to you, do you know why products fail? Because if you work on any kind of product, in any kind of product role, you really should. Why? Well, clearly, we don't want our products to fail. We want it to create value for our customers and to be able to capture some of that value as profit for our business to fuel that business. But also, if you manage products in some way, your core function, as a product manager is really to mitigate risk. Specifically, that means 1, value risk. Will people actually want this thing? 2, viability risk. Can we actually build it? And 3, usability risk. Can people actually use it, get to the value of it? So why do products fail? And why is this important to today's conversation around strategy? Well, the main mistake that we see made by product people, we'll come onto this, the why behind this shortly, it really stems from getting these risks the wrong way round. So we focus our really limited resources on addressing viability risk, i.e., how do we build it? And usability risk to a lesser extent, right? Can we actually, can they use it? And we usually skip over the really inconvenient one, value risk, with massive negative consequences. It means we tend to spend our time on things like low-level prioritization, right? Worrying about whether building feature A or B makes sense when actually both of them are a waste of time. Long meetings on niche technical challenges, on bug fixes, on edge cases that just don't affect the bottom line. So as product people, where should we spend our time? Really asking ourselves this question: are we sure everything we are doing is definitely valuable to our user or our customer? Repeatedly, every single day. And actually pushing our teams to ask this question repeatedly every single day. Why? Because if we can't answer this question well, or we haven't asked it at all, then nothing else matters. We're probably going to build the wrong thing. Which begs the question, coming back to where we started, well, what does actually matter? What makes products succeed and fail? let's look at some of the evidence, right? You're great. I've got my opinion. Let's look at the evidence. Here's a study conducted by CB Insights on startup failure rates. Top 9 reasons were 1, no market need. 2, run out of cash. 3, not the right team. 4, getting out competed. 5, pricing or cost issues. 6, a user unfriendly product. 7, product without a business model. 8, poor marketing. And 9, ignoring customers. Now, there's some bias in here, as this is a retrospective study, right? So it's founders after the event who may misremember or might misidentify problems, but it's the best source we've got on product failure broadly. And the interesting thing, if we look at these top 20 reasons for startup failure, 6 out of 9 of these are related to actually differentiation, i.e., a product offer that is not unique enough to get people's attention or to get them to switch from an existing alternative to start using the product, or actually to go and pay for it. People just care about most products. They just don't use them enough. They don't even notice in many cases. And now this point is relevant for all products, not just startups. It's just that startups are usually a single product company. So it's a good place to understand what's going on when we talk about product failure rate. So 6 out of 9 related lack of differentiators. That means people just didn't really care about it. It wasn't unique, it wasn't valuable. Let's look at those 6 in more detail. So 1, if we look at no market need, means we're not solving an acute problem or a solution already exists, i.e. we're not providing value. 2, run out of cash. A differentiated product, one that is really valuable and unique, should hit revenue or product market fit early on. So we shouldn't run out of cash. We should be making money, or at least being able to raise investment. 3, getting out competed. Somebody else is just doing the same thing, but better than us. 4, in terms of pricing, if we're not differentiated, we're always going to be in a price war, right? We can't, think of your supermarket shelves. Go to the olive oil section, right? They're all sort of the same and sort of the same price. So we can't escape that price war. 5, poor marketing. If we don't have a message which really engages and intrigues people, i.e. they haven't seen it before, then we're going to struggle to get people through to actually use the product. And 6, ignoring customers. So if we're not picking up unique insights and being customer centric, we're not going to come up with a differentiated offer. And as PayPal founder Peter Thiel succinctly notes, quote, all failed companies are the same. They fail to escape competition. They fail to offer something different enough to grab somebody's attention and valuable enough to get them to actually bother using it and ultimately putting money down to pay for it. Therefore, as product people, we must be obsessed with answering the question, are we sure we're providing unique value? This means we don't focus on the competition, and instead we focus on the customer. We don't try and copy what the competition are up to, or on the flip side, get scared away because maybe one competitor's doing something similar. Instead, we just stay laser focused on understanding who our target customer is and constantly bringing in feedback to inform decision making. If we do that, we will inevitably come up with a unique value proposition that means our competition will simply be irrelevant. It just requires us to focus on who the target customer is, what they ultimately want, the value, and how we might deliver that value for them. But I'm sure you might be thinking, right, okay, interesting, Henry, but is this just another vague, overly theoretical product talk? How do we actually build a differentiated product, not just in theory, but in practice, in the messy real world? Now, the common narrative in the product world would be, well, let's go and build and validate an MVP, right? A minimal viable product. Yet the MVP is rarely minimal, usually taking months rather than days. Usually not viable, i.e. it's really good enough to actually provide value. Usually an excuse just to do a poor version of a product. And actually, it doesn't tell us anything about our overarching vision and strategy. Are we sort of in the right area in terms of who we're targeting, whether they've got a real problem, and whether they actually want this sort of long-term outcome that we're promising them? And And the MVPs become so twisted and misunderstood that there is actually a growing call for this model to change, not just from me and my team at Prod MBA, but from far more successful, well-respected Silicon Valley investors and founders. Why? Really, because of the ever more competitive nature of the internet. You can see on this graph. When books like The Lean Startup came out in 2008, promulgating this concept of the MVP, the world was a very different place. There was a lot of opportunity in the marketplace. So it made sense to emphasize building something, getting it out the door as soon as possible, and then iterating to improve it. But since then, we've seen a 10 times increase in the number of websites on the internet. That means 10 times the number of products, if not more, which in turn means that there's more intense competition as more and more very niche frustrations are well served. And that's why we must obsess over mitigating value risk by coming up with a differentiated high value offer. And we must obsess over delivering a clear data-driven answer to that big question: are we offering something our target customer actually wants? And it is very easy to make that mistake of focusing again on what are we building, rather than, okay, why are we building this in the first place? Right? Are we in the right sort of space? Now, ideally, we just build a full product offer and solution so that we can see, okay, are people actually attracted to it when it's a real complete product? Do they actually use it? Do they actually pay for it? In reality, we have limited resources, time, money, energy. So we can't just magically make a product appear. We have to make a compromise. So we start by asking ourselves quite a simple question. Does our niche value what we're offering them, not what we deliver? So rather than jumping straight into building something, we can actually save months and sometimes millions of dollars answering that question by validating the offer and not the solution without a single line of code. And as Gigi Levo-Weiss, general partner of investment firm NFX, neatly summarizes, quote, what the smartest companies know is that we have to earn the right to build. I validate your offer, and only once you've done so, worry about a solution. And that's where the MVO comes in, the minimal viable offer. Just pause for a second and think, what could you offer your niche on a really deep level that would give them massive value? Just think through for a few seconds your current company, maybe a business idea you have. How about you package that into just one single sentence that makes them go, oh, wow, that's something I really want. That's something I'm really interested in. And whatever it is, that's your minimal viable offer. A simple single sentence outlining what desired outcome we offer and how we actually deliver that outcome. A sentence that, when validated, shows us the way towards product market fit, the way towards success and a high demand, high growth product. Because we can prove that we've got something that really resonates with our market before we actually commit to building something concrete. So an example MVO for us at Prod MBA, for example, is we fast track product managers, our target customer, to head of product, the desired outcome they want, with a hands-on learning. That's the opportunity. That's a unique approach we take. We could even strip it down to simply this promise, right? Because what do they want? What do product managers want? They want career growth, concrete. They want to be head of product with that top role, that autonomy that it represents. And we can do this because it doesn't even matter what the vehicle is, right? What the specific solution is. In most cases, if we get the desired outcome right, that big thing we're promising, career progress or rapid promotion, or if it's related to personal wealth, financial freedom, then they're going to be curious enough to go and take the next step because this is what they want, right? That big, deeper, long-term outcome. Now, our MVO, that single statement promising something that our target customer wants, also conveniently helps us define and validate our product strategy at the same time. So by validating an offer, packaging it into one sentence, we're actually validating our product strategy as well, right? The direction we're taking of how we think we might achieve our goals as a business. And just to define product strategy before we talk about this further, quote, the product strategy describes how the long-term goal is attained. It includes the product's value proposition, the market, the key features, and business goals. It's one definition. At MBO, that single sentence allows us to actually answer most of these key hypotheses, right? The value proposition, what we're actually offering them, for example, rapid promotion. 2, the market, we're addressing a specific market, product managers, for example. 3, also the key features. In our case, that's hands-on learning, an effective mentorship, an 8-week course, for example. By validating these key hypotheses as part of our product strategy, we are essentially able to answer very, very quickly and effectively whether our product has a future, whether we are moving in the right direction before we even think about what the solution might be in detail. And before we come on to how we actually crafted MVO, don't make the mistake of thinking that defining and validating an MVO is just for launching new products. 80% of products never achieve product market fit. And even existing products that have success, they lose focus, or they need to be refocused on what that unique value proposition might be. The MVO is a very powerful tool for doing that. One of our alumni, Richard, has actually used the MVO model to align his whole organization around a shared product strategy. He came into a new company as product lead, defined 9 of these MVOs based on conversation with stakeholders, and actually sent out a simple survey to thousands of his users with the 9 MVOs and got them to vote on the 1 or 2 that they felt were most compelling. And they've actually now crafted the whole company strategy. Rather than trying to do 9 things, they're now focusing on 2 or 3. And many of our students have actually generated revenue with simple MVO statement on a landing page to validate that product strategy and earn the right to then go and build out the solution. So it's very, very powerful, whatever products you're working on. So we get what the MVO is, that simple sentence highlighting what we offer and how we deliver that offer. We get why it's important. It helps us prove that we're offering something of value to our niche, and also to validate our product strategy internally for our team. But how do we actually craft an MVO? Listen up to the next bit very closely, because after this talk in 10-15 minutes, I'm actually going to get you to craft your own MVO, and you're going to get feedback from me on that. So it's really, really worth listening up here. Maybe grab some paper as well, or some notes. Well, it's surprisingly simple. We think product strategy is this sort of nebulous, super complex topic, but it is surprisingly simple. If it's a new product, we can conduct some interviews with your target market. If you've already done these with an existing product, you might group the notes you have from those user interviews just around common themes. So in our case, this is the board we literally used when we validated the concept for the business a few years ago. We're speaking to lots of product managers, and there were common notes around courses being theoretical, books too theoretical. So we grouped it under a common frustration that courses and books are too theoretical. That first red card there. That was the common theme that came up. The next step is simply to flip those common frustrations into opportunities. So say we had that frustration of courses and books are too theoretical for product managers. We flipped it and said, okay, well, we could offer hands-on practical learning, for example. Or say they talk, that's about email, and email is too slow. We could flip it to an opportunity of being lightning fast or super fast, for example. Now, when you've gathered all your notes and you've aggregated them into common frustrations and flipped them into opportunities, you might have 5 to 10 opportunities. And actually you just need to think, okay, well, of those opportunities, what's the common theme here? Like, what's the sort of outcome that people are looking for? So if we look at this, the courses being too theoretical, opportunities of hands-on learning, and we also saw that many product people are stuck in a feature factory. They're frustrated, they don't have autonomy. We might go, well, there's a common thread here that we're going to take into those blue cards on the right of lack of career growth and the desire for more career growth. And we might cement that, make that really concrete with the image of becoming head of product, for example, as the sort of the desired outcome they're looking for. So you just need to do the same thing. Like, take those opportunities, say, okay, well, what's the common desired outcome behind this? Career growth, wealth, power, status in some way, sense of belonging, for example. As I said, in our case, we have career growth and we want to make it really concrete and compelling. So head of product is what we aim to promise our market. The final step of the MVO, the core MVO, is simply then going back to those opportunities and finding the one or two that you think would be most compelling, right, most convincing for your target market. What's uniquely valuable for them? In our case, we focus on that hands-on effective learning and also effective mentorship, because we knew from looking at the market that there was too much sort of theoretical content and nobody in the market was doing this sort of hands-on approach of, for example, building a real product. So we included it in the MVO. Notice here we don't talk about us running an 8-week course, for example, because that's boring. People don't want to hear about another course. They want to hear about what's in it for them. And if you don't believe me, just think of your personal health as an example. Say you've struggled with weight loss, or somebody that struggled with weight loss. You don't want a new diet, or to eat boring food, or to have to go to the gym every day. Ideally, you would not need to do any of these things. You would just simply have the ideal body instantaneously, with no effort and with no money spent, for example. So we don't want the thing, right? The gym or the diet or the course. We want the outcome. Career growth, perfect body, whatever it might be. So here are just a few more examples. We've obviously covered ours at Prod MBA, but for Superhuman, a hugely successful email application, theirs might be we help busy business leaders to save 2 hours per day with lightning fast email. This is a real one that they focus on. They charge $30 a month, have a waiting list of 700,000 users. That relentless focus. Or CrossFit, we might say, well, we help amateur athletes to join the athletic elite, right, so become semi-pro with intense competitive workouts. A unique way of delivering that. And just a side note, we've got a fun MVO calculator that I'm going to link through at the end of the presentation, so you can access this, play around with different variations in your own time of the MVO. Finally, you might say, well, I've got no idea what my solution might be. And that's completely fine, right? In most cases, obviously, if you're starting with a new product as well, it doesn't matter. We just need to focus on what the value is, i.e. the hands-on learning, not the course aspect of things. Right, we've got no idea. Maybe we're using artificial intelligence. Maybe it's going to be a custom application, a course, maybe consultancy. It doesn't actually matter. We just want to go, does our niche actually care about the career growth we're promising? Do they care about the hands-on learning that we promise? That's the important thing here, because if we can get that right, that value, address that value risk, we can work out viability, how we might deliver that further down the line. Because with a compelling MVO, we have our North Star. We can always work out how we actually deliver value. Say, for example, we want to help ambitious young mothers who are working from home, feeling a bit stuck because they're sort of out of the promotion and office politics loop. We might say, well, we help young remote mothers gain rapid promotion with high impact time management training. We might start with a learning platform to try and deliver that value. But if that fails, then, hey, let's try a course or an ebook or whatever it might be, right? Custom application, mobile app, 5 minutes a day of career learning, whatever it is. Because if we're clear on who we're serving, what that desired outcome is, and where there's unique opportunity in the market, we just need to test, measure, and learn different solutions until we find something that works. But we've got that North Star in place to anchor us and keep us focused. And finally, to truly succeed in products, really to build $1 million or $1 billion products, we need to do better. We need to make an offer that's not just intriguing, but is so compelling that your target customer just simply cannot ignore it. And to do so, here's a simple formula that we can use, and I'm going to get you to use shortly, to create not just a great MVO, but a really compelling MVO. We've got 4 key elements here. One, the dream outcome. It's that desired outcome we talked about, that high level thing, right? It's about career progress. It's not about doing a course. So if we do really well on that, make a great promise, and then add perceived likelihood of success, if we can convince them in some way, if we can take risk out of the equation of whether they should try the product out or not. And then if we reduce the factors that might pull people away from our offer, firstly, perceived time delay between start and achievement, i.e., how long is it going to take them to get the result? And if we also reduce the perceived effort and sacrifice, i.e., how much effort is it going to be, then we've won. If we can get an offer that hits upon strong dream outcome, convinces them that it's going to work, say, look, with minimal time and minimal effort, we're going to win. And if you don't believe me, just think of meditation apps. Right? They are never going to be billion-dollar companies because they take too long, they take too much effort, and there's a high failure rate. Whereas Xanax or the pharmaceutical industry is a billion-dollar industry because you can give somebody a Xanax and it gives them a sense of calm in minutes with no effort and very quickly, and it's guaranteed. As meditation is hard. And that's not to say meditation is worse. It is clearly better to treat one's own mind than to medicate, but you're never going to see the meditation market take over the Xanax or other sort of calming medications market because it doesn't fulfill these 4 criteria. Let's look at an example before we put this into practice, right? Imagine we run a gym and our client's desired outcome is to lose 10 kilos. Now, we might boost perceived likelihood of success with some testimonials. We might actually give a guarantee, right? Say, look, unless you get results, you don't pay. And we might cut that time down rather than taking months to saying, right, we're going to lose 10K in 2 weeks with an effortless diet planning and just 30-minute workouts per day. And now we imagine we pitch this to those interested in joining our gym. It's pretty compelling, right? We've helped, X amount of people struggling to lose weight, to lose 10 kilos within 2 weeks. What about adding on stacking more opportunities, right? And we say with no effort in just 30 minutes per day, rather than 2 to 3 hours per day you might spend currently. And what about if we even add a stack of final opportunities and say, well, look, you don't even pay unless you get the results? That feels really compelling, right? Particularly in comparison to this, which is what most gyms pitch. And also what most products pitch is this, right? Spend 100 months to join my gym. It's boring. And this is the big mistake that most products make when it comes to positioning themselves. And they don't understand actually what the unique value might be for themselves. So returning to our superhuman example, in many cases, it might actually seem that we're just stating one opportunity rather than stacking different opportunities as we're doing with this really compelling MBO. But actually, if we look into this a little bit more, we're hitting upon these 3 of the 4 factors really effectively, right? With lightning fast email, we're showing quick results with little effort. And there's a lot of evidence that it works on the website with testimonials, companies they work with, for example. And that very strong desired outcome, that's saving 2 hours per day. It's a lot of time for a busy tech executive. And that's the goal that we want to aim for. And we won't get it right first time, particularly not today. But we want to hit upon all of these 4 elements in as few words as possible so that we can come up with a truly compelling offer and not only be really effective in bringing users into our product, but also to validate exactly what we need to focus on, where unique value lies for our product and for our market as well. And validating that compelling MVO by, we can do this by testing out Facebook ads with this single statement or surveying existing customers with a list of 5 or 6 MVO variants. That's going to mean the difference between either being in the 90% of products who failed to differentiate, who failed to escape the competition, the 90% of products that fail, or joining the rare group of 10% who succeed. And just a final thought to leave you with, don't make the mistake that this is marketing or product marketing and not your problem. Great products stem from a clear vision and a clear, compelling product strategy. And a strong MVO lights the way. It's that North Star to success for any product and any product team. Therefore, if you want to have any impact with the products you work on, you must step up as a product leader and actually put this framework into practice. So thank you for listening to the presentation part of today. And we're going to be putting this into practice in a second. We're going to be covering questions as well at the end. But just to say, if you want to learn more, if you want to follow my posts on product strategy, on everything product leadership related, follow me on LinkedIn. I post every single day in short bite-sized posts. So just linkedin.com/Henry Latham, or just search Henry Latham on LinkedIn. And coming on to putting this stuff into practice. So firstly, I'm going to be linking through just a lot of free resources in a second. So that MVO calculator. Second one, that the product thinking board that we use with our students for everything we do, but really just a product playbook. You can get a link to that as well as my book for free. And finally, we're also launching a new cohort in January. So if anyone's interested in actually putting this into practice by building a real product, then just visit our website and you can get in touch there as well. As I said, I'll be linking these things below. And finally, we're going to be putting things into practice. So I want you to take your first attempt at actually writing an MVO. So we're going to just have maybe 3 minutes just to write your own version of an MVO. And I'll keep this up on the screen in a second. If you have more time, so just focus on that first section, right? Who's your niche? What's that deep desired outcome? And what's the unique way that you're going to deliver that? If you've got extra time, think also about how you can minimize time, minimize effort, and remove risk as part of your MVO. And in a couple of minutes, I'm going to ask you just to post those MVOs for feedback as well. Good. So we'll just do a 3-minute timer before we get started. Good. I'm going to keep screen sharing so you can see the formula that we're using here as well. Good. If you've got something ready, feel free to post it. If you've got any questions on, your specific example, maybe you could think of something from your current product you're working on, maybe a product idea you have, if you're running your own business as well. Again, who's the niche? What's the desired outcome? And what is that unique opportunity that you're going to take advantage of?
So maybe I can start with my own, let's say.
Yeah, good. I was going to say, yeah, we can kick it off. Perfect.
Yeah, sure. While everybody else is posting either their own or maybe if you have any questions already for Henry. So I was thinking something in the sort of, we help beverage producers, and a beverage producer is somebody that produces, for example, wine, spirits, or any other kind of beverage, achieve international growth. So the desired outcome is to basically increase their sales with handling the associated duties, taxes, administration.
Okay, got it. How might, okay, good. Anything else for it? Or how might you, good. It's a good starting point. So we've got quite specific. Obviously, we could start even more specific depending on stage of the business, right? Could be beverage producers in Sofia, or we help micro beer breweries, for example. So we could get very specific, but depends on the market. Talked about international growth. So what does this represent for you? What's the ultimate outcome they're looking for?
It's basically a producer that wants to sell their beverage either in
Why do they
Europe
want to sell their beverage?
or outside. Sorry,
Why do they want to sell their beverage?
to get more revenue.
Yeah, perfect. Good. So what could we do is a really concrete, we can make this more concrete, right? So international growth is the desired outcome because underneath that, well, it's not, international growth is not the goal. It's really revenue growth. Now, international growth might be a way to do that, for example. So you could say, we help beverage producers 2x their revenue, whatever the figure might be, something very concrete, or generate 30% more revenue by. Now, talk about this last bit. So we're going to come back to the international growth thing because that's the opportunity we're looking at. You mentioned this very interesting thing around handling work, duties, admin, right? So there's a lot of what involved there for them. Coming back to some of the key words we have. So Dido, what's going on with why do you think it's valuable if you were to handle the work, the duties, the administration for them?
It will save time for them. And,
Good. Yeah, time and effort.
will do it in a more efficient way with reduced cost.
Good. Yeah, good. So you could say something like, we help beverage producers increase their revenue by 30% by handling, by helping with, effortless international growth, for example. You could even add a specific time, imagine you work with a few clients, you get a pretty good idea of how long that might take. So you might say, within 6 months, or we help you generate 30% more revenue within 6 months by handling all of your international growth, taking the effort out of international growth, for example. Pretty compelling, right? If you're a brewer.
And very specific, by the way, which is really good.
Exactly.
We had some statements from our audience, which I'm going to put there. So the first one is this one.
Good. So I'll go through. Yeah, I'll go through. Keep posting, by the way, if you've got some MBOs, and we'll read through sort of 3 or 4 of these. So from Victor, we help cloud service providers to increase their product performance, reliability, and cost by adopting our high-performance, linearly scalable primary storage platform. Love the first bit. The third bit is the classic mistake product people make, explaining too much, too detailed. So we help cloud service providers, good, nice and specific, to increase their product performance, reliability, and cost. Good. These are 3 valuable things. But again, how could we be even more concrete here? And do we focus on, we've got these 3 things. Is one of them more valuable? For example, what's the most valuable thing? We might say it's, we might increase their product performance by, again, specific number, 50%, whatever it is that we've achieved with previous clients. Again, reliability, is there some sort of scoring that we can add there? Cost, what specific cost are we talking about? And again, coming to that last bit, adopting our high performance, linearly scalable primary storage platform. Way too technical. I struggle to, I'm pushing you with this, right? But it's hard to understand what that exactly means. So could we go really simple? So we help cloud service providers increase, let's say, product performance by 50% with a simple, effortless integration, for example. Because again, they don't care what it is, how you solve it specifically. They just care, like, what's in it for me? Is it going to save me time? Is it going to save me effort? how are you doing this in a slightly unique way, for example? You might say, a single, simple storage platform could be another way of phrasing it. But yeah, good. So but really, again, trying to go, how do we take the effort and how do we make sure it's like, here's value, because they don't care how you're going to solve it. They might come to the website, they might talk to you on a sales call about the details, just to convince them that's not what's going to hook them in. That's not what's going to keep them using the product ultimately. Good. Should we grab another example, Dido?
Yeah.
Excellent. So we've got from Todo. We help cities and towns. Okay, so immediately strip that down. Who specifically? We help, let's say, city councils achieve. We also might use the MBA for different markets, right? We might have the same product that we target at different markets, and we would therefore have different MBOs. So let's say we help city councils. No worries, Victor. Thanks for the example. So Todo, sorry. We help city councils achieve international recognition and visibility. Excellent. Comes back to ego, status, power. This is a great example. International recognition. That's the highest you could be, particularly if it's talking about a small town or less recognized city, right? Let's say Sofia versus Paris, right? Maybe less internationally recognized. By creating tailored social media campaigns with a unified brand. Good. So this is an example again where it is quite specific on how it's delivered, right? The tailored social media campaigns. Now, but it's interesting and valuable, but I think we can improve it. So how do we make this sort of, again, tie back to being really compelling? Is it around, just simply unique social media campaigns or stand out social media campaigns? So how do we tie it back to that international recognition, that status, that recognition that we're promising them that drives a lot of human action? So it's a really good example. I would just change it to, we help city councils achieve international recognition and visibility with unique, absolute standout social media campaigns, for example. Good. Should we take one or two more? Excellent. Whoever STI is. We help customer experience managers increase customer satisfaction. Very good. Good. Again, we could put a specific figure on that. By how much? 30%, 50%, double, whatever it is. By applying targeted next best action recommendations for specific customers based on their unique attributes. Too detailed again. Too detailed. We might communicate this internally with what we're trying to do on a high level, but not in terms of how we pitch this to the customer. So we might say instead, we help customer experience managers increase, double customer satisfaction by providing unique, highly specific customer insights. That's really what's going on here, isn't it? Why? So I'm just rereading. Applying next. So the recommendations for specific customers base is essentially by So what you're trying to say with the second part, as I understand it, seems to be we're basically telling you what we think they want to do next, or what we'd suggest they do next, what you offer them next, based on the data we have. Okay, so what would be really compelling, we help CX managers double customer satisfaction by understanding what they want next, right? Or understanding their future needs, or understand their needs before they're even know themselves, for example. That feels a lot more compelling to me. That seems to be what you're trying to do here. Is that correct? I mean, was that roughly? Am I moving in the right direction with that? Just add a comment. We'll come back to that if we get a response as well. But again, so it's moving away from what we do to what the value is for the person. Why is this important for you as a customer experience manager? Good, excellent. Good. Okay. That sounds like we're moving in the right direction with that. Thanks for the example. Excellent. Well, Dina, we can wrap up there if you want. Maybe do one more or move on to questions.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of minutes left for
Sure.
questions. If you guys have anything specific that you want to ask Henry, please post it as a comment. Otherwise, I will open up with some of my questions. So basically, the MVO is a very interesting concept. I was wondering, are there any situations in which an org can have more than one MVO?
Yeah, great question. So the MVO is something that would be used on, as we would break down OKRs, you would have a corresponding MVO for both an organization and for specific products. So I gave an example there, right? We might have different verticals with the same desired outcome. So we might say, say we are a career coaching platform. We might say, we help product managers get promoted. But equally, we might use the same product for a different vertical. We help developers get promoted. But we're going to be very specific in the wording that we use with that MVO. Or equally, we might have the same market and same desired outcome, right? That unifying vision. So, example from, sorry, my battery's just gone from these. We might have the same market and desired outcome. So for example, us at Prod MBA, like our vision is around empowering product managers to become product leaders. So one way we deliver that is with a hands-on learning experience, Prod MBA. But also we have another product called the Career Accelerator, which is around helping somebody get their dream job within 4 weeks. Now, what's going on in the background? Again, one is a course where you build a product, Prod MBA. The other one is really like interview coaching and actually personal coaching, for example.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's clear. So you could have teams with different MVOs working on products with different MVOs. So how do you make sure that like it all comes together? Do you have a process for reconciliating MVOs, or how does this work inside?
Yeah, great point. Yeah, it's really simple. If we come back to let me share my screen again. 1 second. So if we come back to this slide, and I'll show this with one of the links that I sent through the products. You'll get that with that second link where you can access what's called our product playbook. So on that, we have, essentially, so we've aggregated, let's say, all of our interview notes. We can do this on a Miro board. There are tools to do that. And we've got these common themes here. And there's some things we might focus on. I gave the example of courses and books being too theoretical. There are other opportunities we might not be addressing. For example, we might go, right, let's take this first opportunity, hands-on practical learning, and let's build a product around that. So that's where Prod MBA came from. But equally, we might go, what we could do? Okay, well, effective mentorship seems to be a gap in the market. We could also pursue. So we could launch another product based around that opportunity. That might be, coaching, one-on-one coaching, for example. These are simple examples, but the same is true of a highly complex, problem space or company, right? Take Google. So it's simply about being very clear about which opportunity. If we come back to the what we call the opportunity tree, right? It's okay. Well, are we clear? Are we aligned on really this thing? That's usually what formulates our vision. So we might say we're going to help young mothers gain rapid promotion. One of the opportunities might be high impact time management training. And we build a team around that with this concrete objective and concrete key results they have to deliver. Another team might look at, CV tool, for example. So how do we improve their CV? But because we're very clear about who we're trying to help on a high level and what specific opportunity, so one specific thing we're looking at, it actually works really effectively because we can then give autonomy to the team that might be working on that opportunity to go, look, here's the gap in the market we want to go after, high impact time management training. How you do that, up to you, right? You want to try a learning platform? Great. Start with a course? Great. Build a custom application? Great. But we're very clear that we've separated the opportunities. And that's a really important thing. That's how it works, because we're very aligned on who the market is, what the desired outcome is, and then which specific opportunity we are and we are not working on as well, importantly.
Exactly. Makes perfect sense. Splitting opportunities. Everybody works on their MBO based on the opportunity. It all aligns. Excellent. Um, Another question, by the way, on a just very practical level, um, with the interviewing you're doing to actually craft that MBO, could you tell more about the techniques you use? Like, how do you know you've had enough observations, if I can put it this way, to say,
Yeah.
now I'm clear, this is an opportunity or this is a frustration, and then this feeds into my MBO?
Yeah, great question. It's really hard. Anything to do with we have a reliance. We've been very reliant on quantitative data in products. Everyone says like, let's be data driven, but actually, a lot of the unique and the key insights, they're probably not the thing that came up most often in many cases. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's easy. In many cases, it might be the small comment somebody made when you dug into, why, say with weight loss, why do you not like going to the gym? And you find out that it's something to do with, bad experience they had, and that's this sort of define their belief systems. So it's very difficult to put to formulate, okay, where's the unique insight going to come from? But generally, we want to, coming back to your question, want to speak to at least 8 to 20 people so that we can start seeing different patterns emerge. But if you want to get started with this, just start with 2 or 3 people just to see how it works. You can go like, you sort of start understanding, oh, right, okay, I've got some themes, I can flip those to opportunities and put that into an MBO. Again, start with that, and you can also come and feed in more data, right? Feed in interviews. And on the board, the mirror board that I'll be sending through the link, you've got the whole script on there as well of how we conduct those interviews, and the board for actually aggregating them, flipping them to opportunities, and turning that into an MBO as well.
Okay, cool. Guys, I can see that I have some problems with my headset. I apologize for this. Hopefully the questions were clear. I think we have 1 or 2 questions from our audience that we can cover before we finish for tonight. For example, this one from Doichin.
Good. So how best to test your hypothesis about the prospective need of your product with future industrial clients? Good. If you're working with clients, it's a tough one because they will always want a concrete. This is why selling an MVP as a consultant or a design studio works well, because people like to see concrete things. They like to envisage concrete things. Usually they've got an idea of what they want to build in their head. So it's very hard to do in a client-based scenario. So what you have to do is you have to do this yourself, right? You have to do it in a very lean way. Again, with, we teach you to do it with 0 resources. You can speak to people for free. You can build a landing page for free with Wix or whatever tool you might use. And you can get them to sign up through MailChimp, for example. That is also for free. So my suggestion with that is, if you want to, test out the value proposition, you can try and sell a product discovery package. That's really hard. So usually it's just about giving yourself a bit of confidence about the direction you might want to take, going off and validating a few different MBOs, and then coming and presenting that data to the team. Like data talks. If you come to them and say, right, here's some research we've done. We've seen that the market's really interested in lightning fast email versus, great filtering tool for email. Then it helps move the conversation in the right direction to be a bit more strategic about what the solution might be. But again, you might get pushback, probably will get pushback in most cases. They might go, well, that's fine, but we still want to build this thing. So it's about sort of doing as much as you can, putting the work in yourself in a very lean way to try and move the conversation. The same is true if you're doing that in a company as well. Right? You still need to convince stakeholders. Best way to do that, you've gone and validated the MBO. got real people signing up, or even sometimes actually generated revenue from an offer. That helps convince people far more than saying, hey, I think we should do some market research first.
Right, thanks. And I think we have our final question for tonight, which comes from Todor again, about competitors.
Right, yeah, really good question. So is it a viable strategy to use existing products as a comparison for the MBA, or should we stay focused on the unique features of our product? Now, we do this in a unique way. I suggest doing your market research before you even look at the competition. Why do I say that? Because I'll peer over the banner at the bottom. Because it's really easy to anchor what you think you might do if you look at the competition, right? You tend to cloud your thinking and base what you do off what they do. So you'll go, okay, right, we're doing email. Let's just look at Gmail and do something like sort of this, like slightly different. Whereas when you start by just speaking to customers and going, okay, like who are these people? What are the problems they have? And how might we be able to, what value might we deliver? You tend to come up with far more unique ideas. For example, from my own experience with Prod MBA, it would have been very easy to start and go, right, do we go into the management training space? No way, because you've got product school that's raised venture capital and some big players in the market. But actually, by speaking to people and just seeing that, okay, there are things that are not being served in the market, and then being incredibly focused on, in our case, that hands-on aspect and effective, authentic support and mentorship, just focusing on those key things has meant that we've been able to build a business without raising any investment. So I always suggest that. Now, does that mean we ignore the competition? No, it's healthy to see what they're doing, to get some ideas, to map out on something like a blue ocean canvas. Okay, what are they good at? And is there somebody that's actually doing what we think we should be doing, right? So that's important, but we should do it as a second step. We want to go what we call first principle thinking first, really just saying, what is going on here? And as a second step, we go, right, now we've seen there's something we might want to pursue, some unique value there. Let's see what the competitive landscape is actually like before we commit to testing that MVO out.
All right, and I think this wraps it up for tonight. Henry, thank you very much once again. It was great to have you as our guest tonight. Guys, please make sure to follow Henry on LinkedIn. Very, very interesting content posting. I follow it myself, so I could definitely recommend. And that's it for tonight. Stay tuned for our next events. Have a great evening, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks very much, everyone, for listening. And any questions, message me on LinkedIn, and those free resources we'll make sure we send through to everyone as well after the show.